How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. So, a few things I want to mention before I dive into this. If you saw the reviews that I did last, I was reviewing the Sleepaway Camp franchise, did 1 through 3, and I cannot find Return to Sleepaway Camp anywhere online for free. The only place that I found it is like on Amazon Prime to buy or rent. And I've heard so many abysmal things about this movie over the years. Since it came out, I avoided it ever since, and I am absolutely not spending a dime on this movie. So, if anyone knows where I can see this movie for free online, please leave it in the comments. That way I can see this supposedly abysmal film and just finally knock the review out for it and finish up the Sleepaway Camp franchise. Next, I said in my last review for the Teenage Wasteland review that once I get into slasher mode, because I've said it on this channel many times already, 80s slashers and slashers in general, my favorite subgenre of horror. And once I get into a slasher pit that I'm in, just watching slasher movies, it's hard for me to get out, man, for like a little bit. So I said I would be doing the Hatchet series next, and I will be doing that tomorrow. So it's like 2 a.m. or something, and I'm scrolling through Tubi, and I come across this film, which horror comedies are very hard to make, in my opinion. Like, they are very, very hit or miss with me. Like, it's so hard to find, like, a perfect balance between horror and comedy. And a lot of the times, like I said, it just doesn't work for me. Maybe that's why I don't like Scream, because it's just ridiculous to me. Like, it tries to be meta, and it tries to be like parody almost, but it still has a seriousness to it that it's trying to portray. And I talk all about this in my Scream review, so I'm not going to go into it too long at all, but probably why I never cared for the Scream movies, because it just doesn't have that balance to me, and I have to try to take it seriously because it's trying to be semi-serious, and I just can't, and that's probably why I don't like Scream. But this movie, I saw this movie when it first came out, not in the theaters. I think it had like a limited release, but 2010, the year it came out, I saw it on video on demand, and I was dying laughing. Like, I thought I was gonna die like watching this movie. It was so funny and so brilliantly written, and just such an original idea and everything. And since then, I've seen a movie or two that like is similar in a way, like premise wise, but this just blows them out of the fucking water, man. Like, oh, this movie's so good. And of course, I'm talking about 2010's Tucker and Dale versus Evil, directed by Ellie Craig, who is actually Sally Field's son, which I was very interested when I found that out. And it's starring Tyler Labine as Dale, Alan Tudyk, which has been in so many things, but he will always be Pastor Veal from my favorite comedy show, Arrested Development. Her? Oh, I thought she was Hair. Hair? Her? I fucking love that show so much. I've seen it a million times. And he plays Tucker. And then we have Katrina Bowden, who plays the main girl, Allison, Allie. Gorgeous girl, man. And Jesse Moss, who does such a good job. Everybody in this movie has good to just amazing performances. And especially Tyler Labine and Alan Tudyk as Tucker and Dale, and Jesse Moss as we'll get into that. And he's been in some things. I know I've seen him. He was in Final Destination 3, Moss, and he was in, I want to say The Uninvited? Pretty sure it's The Uninvited, like the remake. Because the original wasn't even called The Uninvited. It was like Tale of Two Sisters or something like that. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. I should watch that. So I'm going to give just a nice little synopsis for anybody who's happened to watch this. Seeing that it's a spoiler review, and I mentioned this a few reviews ago, that some people just don't seem to know what that means. That I'm going to be talking all about this movie. So I figure I'll give a little spoiler-free synopsis and then tell you to please be invited to get the fuck off my channel and go watch this movie before you watch the rest of this. So basically, we have Tucker and Dale, who are long life best friends, and they're hillbillies, and they just bought like a vacation home, fixer-upper. It was like their dream. And we have a group of college kids that go into the same woods in the same area to just party on like Memorial Day or Memorial Day weekend. And it's just one misunderstanding after another, after another, after another for the whole film. And you just can't believe what happens. Like, it's so hysterical. This movie is so funny. Like, as soon as I saw this movie, like the year it came out, I had to show it to like so many people. I watched it with my sister. We were cracking up the whole time. I showed it to a few friends of mine. I adore this movie, and I haven't seen it in like a few years. So when I saw it pop up on Tubi, I said, I gotta watch this like right now, because it's been a long time and I needed like a good laugh for an hour and a half. So now, so like I said, so people who haven't seen this movie, you just got the little synopsis of it. So please be invited to close this review and go watch this right on Tubi for free. And then if you want to come back and hear my thoughts on it, then that's perfect. So get out of here. You gone? All right, cool. Whoever's left who's seen this movie. Now, this movie is going to be so hard. Like, when I was watching it and taking notes, I said, this is going to be so hard to review because, again, it's a horror comedy. So the comedic element, it's much more comedy than horror. Absolutely. Like, this is just like a black humor comedy. It is just like right up my alley, like humor wise, like just dark humor, and it just works so fucking well for me. And so I was trying to figure out how exactly I'm going to go about this, and basically all I could think of was just like how I do my normal reviews, with just breaking down the film and stuff, but just writing down just the most hilarious lines in this movie. And I couldn't even write half of them down, or I would have had like 10 pages of notes. Like, seriously. This movie is so funny, and it never lets up. Like, it's just hilarious through the whole thing. And another disclaimer, for some reason, if you just found this channel or this video for some reason, and you don't like my laugh for some reason, or you don't like hearing other people laugh when they're talking, you just leave right now, because I will be cracking up through this whole review. Like, this movie puts me in such a mood afterwards, that like such a funny mood, that for hours afterwards just anything makes me laugh, but especially rereading the lines from this movie. So let's get into it. We have this quick opening scene with a reporter and cameraman that end up, the cameraman is filming it, and ends up both of them just being killed very swiftly by what looks like some deranged hillbilly. And then we cut to 3 days ago. And we have this group of college kids that are driving through the backwoods. And we get this first great shot of Tucker and Dale driving past them. They're like passing them on the road. And Dale's just looking at them. He looks creepy looking at them. And the kids see him. And he's like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? And oh, so funny. And they end up stopping for beer, the kids. And Tucker and Dale also end up stopping at this same store to pick up some things on their way to their vacation home. That Tucker basically sunk every last penny that he had into it. And when you see the house later, it is just in such disarray, and they need so much work done. But this is their dream, and they always wanted a vacation home, and it's what they always wanted. So they're in the store, these kids, and just there is like slight like social commentary here in this movie about just prejudices and making so fast of a judgment on somebody, on people, or just a whole group of people and everything, and like quick judgment calls when you're not thinking and you don't have the whole story, and it's implemented so fucking well in this movie. It's so well written, the comedy aspects of this movie, the whole movie, but the comedy aspects of it, to have just the basic premise of just total lack of communication and misunderstanding between Tucker and Dale and these group of college kids, that the way that the writers were able to just keep that one gag going for the whole movie and finding new ways to like repeat the gag and just like they did such a phenomenal job with this. Like really, like it must have been so hard to keep that gag going and keep it interesting and hilarious throughout the whole movie, and they absolutely, in my opinion, succeeded so well. So we find when they're in the store, to one of the girls already, like they're in it, she's like, this place is so creepy, and the other one's like, it's just a store, like and she's right, that it's just a store. They're so like prejudiced against like and have their preconceived notions about hillbillies and like the backwoods and stuff, that it just blinds them to actually what's going on. And we meet Tucker and Dale, and Dale mentions how beautiful one of the girls are, the college kids, and Dale they're both just so sweet. Like Dale especially is just, he has a heart of gold. He's the sweetest person in the world. He's overweight. He's very insecure about himself. He has trouble talking to women and everything, but he's like depicted as like almost like an idiot savant, almost like he says he's dumb as can be, but he remembers like everything he's ever heard. It's very interesting, his character. And Tucker is always trying to talk him up and give him confidence and stuff, and so he tells him, he says, Tucker, Dale, just go over there and talk to him and stuff. Just be yourself and talk to this girl, and just be yourself, and just remember to just smile and laugh. So Dale agrees, and he goes over there, doesn't realize that he's holding like a big ass scythe in his hand that he got from the store to do like reparations to their house and everything. And he walks up to these college kids with this big ass scythe in his hand, and he's he just says, like, so you guys going camping? And he starts laughing like nervously, but it comes off as like maniacal. He's like, oh man. And then just this one guy, Chad, who's just like played by Jesse Moss, right? Yeah, Jesse Moss. And he's just, hey, like, we don't want any trouble now, all right? And Dale's there, oh, no, sorry. And they end up driving off, the college kids, they leave, and Dale goes back to Tucker and just says, like, I just can't do it. Like, I can't talk to the women like you and everything like that. You can and everything. And they end up driving off themselves to their vacation home and end up getting pulled over by the cops. And, one cop. A cop. Not cops. And they had like a broken taillight or something, and the cop says where you guys going, where you headed, and Tucker mentions that they just bought a vacation home and they're trying to fix it up, and that's where they're headed. And then the cop just says, there is just like nothing but evil and death up here, or like something like that. And he lets him go for, he doesn't write him a ticket for the headlight, he says, or tail light. He says, I'll get it fixed. And pain and suffering, that's what he says. He says like it's nothing but pain and suffering up there. The Tucker and Dale's relationship and dynamic in this movie is just unreal. It's so good. The performances that they both give are just like, this movie is, by like even a few years after it came out, a complete cult film. Like, and now especially, like, this film is a complete cult following it has, and their performances as Tucker and Dale are just absolutely iconic at this point for anyone who's seen this movie, and for damn good reason. Like, the dynamic between them of just, they've been friends forever, and like Dale is so sweet, and so is Tucker, but like he's a little bit more confident in everything, and he tries always to put that confidence in Dale and say that how good of a person he is, and he deserves all the good things in life, and he deserves a good girl, and that he's not stupid as he thinks. And what great friends, man. Like, what a great friendship, and they depict it so well in this movie. and they end up getting to their house and see a bunch of news clippings about like murder and like there was like savage murders in the area, and these like old news clippings and stuff. And the only thing, and like attacks and slayings and stuff, and like the only thing that Tucker notices is a coupon for Chubby's Chili Dog Depot with no expiration date. And they're both like, hell yeah, and like that's all they see. They don't see any of these articles about the murders or anything like that. Oh, it's so funny. And Tucker is so proud to like own their own vacation home and like standing in it. I can't believe we're actually standing here like in our own little vacation home, fixer upper. So then we cut back to the college kids, and we have Chad the dick, Jesse Moss, tells a story about the Memorial Day massacre, which happened in these very woods 20 years ago to the day, and ends up saying that there was the college kids partying just like they are now, and these hillbillies just kill them one by one, and there is some awesome gore in this movie. Like, there really is. Like, it's over the top, obviously, and just completely over the top and completely crazy, but like it's still good effects. Like, there are some great effects in this movie, like very good. Like in the flashback of him telling this story, like one of the hillbillies just throws a circular saw and it just sticks right in the guy's face, and just great stuff, man. And kills them one by one, and he says there was only one survivor. And he cuts back to them deciding to go swimming, or skinny dipping and go swimming and everything in this nearby lake. And Tucker and Dale are fishing on this same lake. And Allison, the main girl of this film, ends up climbing up on like these rocks and jumping into the water after she falls in the water after she gets startled by hearing Tucker and Dale talking and while they're fishing and stuff. And she falls in, and they see her fall in, and she doesn't come up for a bit. And Dale ends up getting out of the boat and going into the water, and ends up picking her up. She's unconscious, and getting her into the boat. And the kids see her like this happening, and it looks like they're kidnapping her. And because, like I said, because they think all hillbillies and rednecks are just murderers and psychopaths and stuff. That's all they can think of. Like, they just complete lack of judgment, and quick judgments and assumptions and everything, and it just carries on for the whole film. And so they're getting her into the boat to rescue her. And they see the rest of the kids, and they end up calling out like, "Hey, we got your friend! We got your friend!" And one guy's just like, "Oh God, they got Allison!" Oh, it's so funny. And they just start running away, and Tucker's like, "What are they running away for?" Like, and they just like completely book it out of there, thinking that these hillbillies are just complete psychopaths and just kidnapped her friend. And like, it's just like such a huge misunderstanding that like goes on through this whole movie that is just ups the ante every single time. And God, I can't say enough about this movie. So Allison wakes up like bandaged up because she hit her head, so she got a little bandage they put around her. And at first, like, she freaks out when Dale comes in, and they're in the vacation home. They took her back there to like fix her up and help her feel better. And she ends up waking up, and Dale comes in with pancakes like that he made for her, and she comes into the room where Allison's in the bed, and she comes to when he's bringing her pancakes, and she's freaking out. And he just thinks that it's because, "Oh, you don't like pancakes, I'm sorry." And ends up going, "I'll make you something else," and leaves. And she's just like so confused. Pancakes? Like, completely confused on what's going on. We go back to the college kids, and one of the kids says, like, "I don't know, it was dark, but it looked like one of them was eating her face." It's so ridiculous. It's so fucking ridiculous. It's so hilarious. And they end up going to try to find Allison, so they creep up on on Tucker and Dale's vacation home. And one of the girls just like, "What is this place?" And the other was like, "It's just a cabin." Like, again, like the voice of reason a little bit. And this kid, like, he looks dead already. Like he is so pale, like it's so so pale, like he already looks dead. Like I don't know if they made him up that way or that's just how he looks, but just a funny observation. And Tucker explains what happened, and Dale explains what happened to Allison, and she starts befriending Dale, and they start becoming closer and joking with each other and playing board games together. And like Allison just starts noticing just how sweet the both of them, but like especially Dale, how sweet this guy is and how innocent he is, and that she's in no danger at all. And so we have Tucker outside with a chainsaw about to do some like yard work or cutting up logs or something like that, and he accidentally cuts into a beehive, and these bees just start chasing after him and stinging him all over his face and everything. So he freaks out and just starts running away towards the college kids, and he just looks like a chainsaw wielding psychopath. And they run for their lives, and the pale kid, whatever, ends up running like side by side to Tucker, who's just like with a chainsaw freaking out and stuff, and this kid's running for his life thinking he's about to get slaughtered, and he just runs into a tree branch and impales himself. Oh man, this movie, like I can't with this movie. And we have Dale and Allie playing a trivia game, which is Dale's like favorite game, and that's when he says to her, he's like, I'm dumb as a stump, but like I remember everything I've ever heard. And she's like, well, that doesn't sound dumb to me. And he's like, trust me, I didn't make it past the third grade. And she makes a very good point. She said it's completely different between intelligence and education. Absolutely correct. And he asked her, what are you studying in college? And she said she's studying psychology, and she's always had this dream that it's a stupid dream, and Dale's just saying so seriously, dreams are not stupid. Oh dude, the performances in this movie is so good. It's amazing. The delivery of the lines and everything, it's so fucking good. And she just says that a lot of the problems she thinks in the world is just a lack of communication, and that's exactly what's going on in this movie. It's so funny. So Tucker and Dale go to find her friends, and they find the kid who impaled himself on the tree branch, and ends up saying they end up leaving a message like on a log or something, like with a hatchet, like saying, we got your friend. Like we should leave him a message because we can't find him and stuff. And the kids find the guy's body that's impaled, and one of the kids is just it's just like they left his body as a message. Dude, I'm gonna be cracking up this whole review. I'm telling you, it's such a funny movie, like, and it's just amazing, absolutely amazing. It's probably one of my favorite horror comedies ever. And like I said, very hit or miss for me, horror comedies, but this movie is just, this is a movie all in its own category for me. And saying that he left his body as a message, and the other guy's like, yeah, say the fuck out of our woods. So funny. So Chad, the crazy one, ends up saying he's insane. Like, this guy, he's completely insane. He was trying to hit on Allison earlier when he was drunk, and he's the one saying that like he like declares war and says like it's us against them, and they're hiding and stuff in the woods, and Tucker and Dale are walking by and completely taken out of context of what they're talking about. He's talking about how he's beating her in trivia pursuit, the trivia game that they're playing, whatever it is. And the only thing the college kids hear is like, such a sweet college girl, and I was just beating her like terribly. And he's like, oh, we'll just I'll go back there and I'll finish her off quick, and then we can start doing yard work and everything. And that's all they hear, and it's just so funny. And Dale ends up, they go out to do yard work, and this whole scene, like from here until, I'll mention when it ends, but my favorite scene in this movie, just absolutely so brilliantly written. The comedy-wise, the lines, the acting, the gore, everything is just perfect in this scene. So Dale's like digging an outhouse hole, and Allison comes out and helps him. and the kids are there again, like, and they like planning an attack on them, thinking again that they're just these psychopathic hillbillies. And one of the kids, that sick fuck, he's making her dig her own grave. Oh, it's so funny. They split up with weapons and try to attack them, and one of them like charges at Dale, who's digging the hole with Allison, and he's holding the shovel, and this kid comes at him with like this handmade spear, and Dale like moves out of the way and accidentally knocks Allison unconscious with the shovel, and this kid just like jumps at Dale, and they fall into the hole, and he just falls onto the his own spear, and just starts bleeding all over Dale, and he's freaking out. Oh, it's so great. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's so funny, and he's freaking out. And then we have another one, such a great kill, man. Like, if you can even call it a kill, but you know, with how they're doing it to themselves. But the other one runs up on Tucker, who's like throwing wood into a wood chipper, and this kid just comes up behind him and jumps at him, and right there, just Tucker just bends down to get wood, and this guy goes head first into the wood chipper. And Tucker's freaking out. He's holding his legs and stuff, and like trying to pull him out, but he's already halfway into the wood chipper, and you see the blood just squirting out of the other end of the wood chipper, and he's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Holding his legs and shit. Oh, it's so fucking brilliant. And Tucker tries pulling him out and everything, and this blood just sprays over this other college girl's face, like all over her, drenched in blood. And she's just screaming and freaking out. And Tucker and Dale tell each other what happened. They meet together, like back up, and Tucker says, "I think I know what's happening. Like, I think these kids have a suicide pact or something." And Dale's just like, "Oh my God, that makes so much sense." I love them so much in this movie. They are the performances of these two guys, I cannot say enough of. Like, absolutely amazing. And says that they should call the cops. And we get like my favorite lines in this movie, and it's repeated twice. And he's like, "What are we gonna do? Call the cops?" He's like, "Dale, what are we gonna say?" Just like, "Heidi ho, officer, it's been a doozy of a day. Here we were minding our own business when these kids just started killing themselves all over our property." He's like, "You'd have to be a moron to believe that." Oh, it's so brilliant. And we have Chad again, and insane as he is, he's just saying to the rest of the remaining college students and everything, just saying a few little murders and everyone freaks out. It's just us versus them. There's no rules out here. And Tucker and Dale pull the kid's legs out of the wood chipper. They're trying to get him out, and one of the kids earlier went off with the truck. It was like his truck, and only he could drive it, so he went off to find help, and he finds the same cop that pulled Tucker and Dale over earlier in the movie, who said it's just pain and suffering up where you're going and everything. So the cop shows up literally right when they're holding the fucking legs of like the bottom half of this kid, and it's just, his fucking whole top's in the wood chipper, and it's just from his waist down, and each one's holding a leg. And the cop pulls up with the rest of the kids in the back of the cop car. And he says, "Wait here, I'll take care of this." And then they just like immediately drop the guy's legs. And the cop comes up to him, and in the moment, there's nothing. What can you say? Like, what can you say in that moment? They are drenched in blood from Dale getting the kid with the spear who impaled himself, bleeding all over him, and Tucker with the wood chipper guy, and blood's all over him. And what to say? The only thing he knows what to say is what he just said, like in the cabin to Dale. And again, he just gives that whole monologue of, "Officer, we're glad to see you because we've had a doozy of a day." Here we are, minding our own business, doing improvements to the house, and Dale's like chiming in, like, "Yep, improvements." He's like, when all of a sudden, out of nowhere, these kids start killing themselves all over my property. And the cop just says to him, he's like, "You must think I'm some kind of fucking moron to believe that story." Well, the writing is so brilliant in this movie. Like I said, like, it's so hard to keep the same gag going over and over again of just total misunderstanding and lack of context, and just keep that interesting and hysterical through the whole movie. And what a fucking job they did. Like, it's unbelievable. Tucker's like, now I don't know how much experience you've had with this situation, but I was scared. We were scared shitless. Oh, it's so good. And so the cop ends up going into the house, and they end up mentioning that they have one of the girls, that they have Allie in the house. And Dale says, he's like, oh, she could actually probably clear all this up, you know, and if I didn't knock her unconscious with that shovel. And Tucker's just like looking at him like, come on, man. And he's like, accidentally. And he's just like, accidentally, keyword. Oh, man, this movie. It just puts me in such a mood during and after watching this movie. It is so funny. And the cop goes in, and they're like, do we look like a bunch of psychotic killers to you? And they're drenched in blood. And the cop is just like, well, I don't know. Appearances can be deceiving. And he leans on this beam. And they show this earlier in the scene, like they almost get hit by this beam when one of them, Tucker or Dale, leans on it, and they're like, we gotta fix this. And they don't fix it. And the cop leans on it, and just this other plank with nails and shit all in it just hits him right in the face. And he ends up like walking out of the cabin and stuff, and out of the house, and it's just this plank with nails sticking in his head, and they're just like, he's gonna walk it off, he'll be fine. The kids are freaking out, screaming like, they killed him, they fucking killed him. And the kid grabs one of the kids grabs the cop's gun, and he points it at Tucker and Dale, and he's like, stop, like, you guys stop right there, I'll shoot. And he tries shooting, it doesn't work, and Dale's just like, oh, you have to take the safety off, right? And this kid just like doesn't know apparently how a gun works at all, and he just like he's trying to look for the safety, and he turns the barrel towards his face and just blows his own face off. Oh god, man, this movie is so fucking brilliant. And it completely just blows his brains out. It's ridiculous. And Chad starts shooting at them. He picks the gun up and starts shooting, and they run back into the house. And they have time during this to argue about fishing. And like Dale says, like, I don't even like fishing. So, you don't like fishing? And they have time for this. So ridiculous. So Chad ends up kidnapping Dale's dog and putting a gun to this dog's head. Like, this guy is so sick in the head, and I mean, we find out later why, but puts the gun to, what's his name, Jangles or something like that, or the dog's name, and points the gun at him, and they grab a nail gun and says to Dale, Tucker tells him, he's like, just make a distraction and shoot at them with the nail gun. I'm going to sneak out the back and like try to think of a plan. So Dale starts shooting to distract them. Tucker sneaks around. Dale's like, if you hurt my dog, I swear I'm going to get really, really mad. Oh, it's so brilliant. And Chad and the remaining kids chase and kidnap Tucker. And they tie him upside down from a tree and end up just cutting. Chad just cuts 2 of his fingers off. Just brutal, man. Damn, man, how brutal that is. And as he's hanging there, Chad gets in his face, and he's like, I've never been so close to pure evil before. Oh, it's so good. It's absolutely amazing. I can't say enough about this movie. Obviously, you could not tell by this point. But, oh man. And for the few of you who did not, you listen to my warning if you haven't seen this movie and still for some reason are watching this, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Just, again, get the fuck out of here. Go watch this movie. Like, seriously. So Dale wakes Allie up and starts explaining, like, when he hit her in the head with the shovel and knocked her unconscious by accident, and starts breaking down crying and saying, it was so horrible out there. And Allie's consoling him and everything and saying, like, and then he has this great line again where he's just like, do some of your friends take medication? And she's like, why? He's like, I think some of them forgot to take it. And she says to him, it's like, no, just calm down. This is probably a huge misunderstanding. My friends wouldn't hurt anybody. He's like, no one wants to hurt you. And then you just hear Chad screaming like, die, hillbilly. Oh, man, that's so fucking Hilarious. So Allie goes outside and sees like the carnage out there, and finds finds a little like Tucker's shirt, like a piece of his shirt, and brings it inside to Dale, and they open it, and it's two of Tucker's fingers, and Dale's like, oh no man, they cut off his two best bowling fingers. And finds a note saying like, now we got your friend, like come and get him. And so now it's on. And another amazing line, Dale and so they're like saying like, why would they think that we'd try to hurt you? And she's like, well, like when we saw you in the store earlier, like we just thought you were a little creepy. And like he's like, well, why would you think that? And she's like, I don't know. He's like, I think you do. And obviously, because of their prejudices and preconceived notions of hillbillies and everything like that, which leads to this absolutely hilarious film happening. And he has this amazing line. He's like, I should have known if a guy like me talked to a girl like you, someone would end up dead. Oh, God. And Dale leaves to rescue Tucker and ends up, there's like a booby trap of like a spear that like almost hits Dale like right in his dick. And it like completely misses him. Like this is his legs and it goes like right there. And it sticks to the ground, and he thinks for a second like he got hit, and then he's like, man, I never thought I'd say this, but I'm so glad I'm not hung like a bear. Oh, I can't with this movie. It's just, I can't. It's so amazing. And he cuts Tucker down from the tree and everything, and Tucker stays back to just like recover and everything. He's missing two of his fingers, don't forget. And Chad is, and they go to the house, and Chad is just like, this is where evil lives. And they try to save Allison, and they end up she tells him, she's like, this is just a huge misunderstanding, like trust me, like these guys would not hurt anybody, like they're sweethearts, like they would not hurt anyone. And one of the girls with Chad is like, wait, I've read about this in my sociology class, like this is called Stockholm syndrome, when someone's kidnapped and they end up falling in love with their captor. Again, just the way that they keep finding a new way to reinvent the same gag over and over. It's absolutely amazing. It's so brilliant. And Tucker and Dale show up back to the house and to rescue Allison, and she ends up having like a therapy session, setting up a therapy session between Chad and Dale, because earlier how she said that she studied to be psychology and her dream was to be a therapist and everything like that. So they sit down, and Chad, they serve tea, and he asks if it's chamomile tea, and he says, I can't have chamomile, it's allergic. And she's like, no, it's Earl Grey. And Dale's like, I love Earl Grey tea. And they're sitting down, and she wants them to go through, like both of them one at a time, explain their side of the story and how they feel and their feelings, express their feelings to each other and stuff. She's like, Chad, why don't you start? And he's like, all right, I'll start. And he's like, a long time ago, before I was born. She's like, maybe not that far back. He's like, this is important. And he starts telling the story again about the Memorial Day Massacre 20 years ago, and starts saying that Chad's parents were there, and his father was brutally killed by the killer hillbillies back then, and his mom was pregnant with him at the time and was tortured in front of the father before they killed the father, and the mother was the sole survivor that we heard about earlier in his story when he first tells it to the rest of his friends. And he said by the time he was born, like his mother was already institutionalized, and he heard this story from his grandmother. And this is ditzy blonde girl in here that reminds me of, and it's so funny, like the last few days, like how things have like just, you know how like in life when like things just like keep connecting like randomly, like all of a sudden, like I was doing the Sleepaway Camp reviews and doing the sequels, and Pamela Springsteen obviously is Angela, and that's Bruce Springsteen's sister. And last night I ended up going to spur of the moment Coldplay concert. My sister wanted to go, and she's like, can you drive us? I'll buy the tickets. So I said, yeah, of course. So we go there, and then they mentioned there's going to be a special guest, and at the end of the show, fucking Bruce Springsteen comes out. Pamela Springsteen's brother, who I'm just reviewing her movies in the Sleepaway Camp series. And then I'm watching this movie, and I said I'm going to do the Hatchet series tomorrow. And I make an observation. I'm saying this Disney blonde girl reminds me of that Disney blonde in Hatchet. And like the way things just connect like that, it's I love when that happens. And Dale says he's sorry. It's his turn to go, and he says he's sorry for what happened to his, Chad's parents and stuff. But like I wasn't there. Like I was like 6 years old, and he said like it might have not been you, but it was definitely your kind. Just again with the prejudice against him, and the whole hillbilly race. No, they're not a race. You know what I mean? Come on, and. They end up, there's the two other people outside, the black guy and the Dixie blonde, and they said, like Chad said, if 15 minutes goes by and they don't come out, to go in guns blazing. She's like, you don't have a gun. He's like, shut up, woman, don't talk to me like that. And they end up just coming in, because like they're watching them and they're just drinking tea and stuff, and like, he's like, no, they can't escape, they're being held hostage. And they come in, and this guy has like, I don't even know what it's like, an electric like weed trimmer or something, like the long pole and like the spinning blade on it. This guy just bursts in the door and goes after Tucker, and Tucker just ducks out of the way, and there's the other college student girl behind him, and she just gets her face massacred by this fucking electric hedge trimmer, weed trimmer, whatever it is. It just cuts her whole face apart. Oh, it's brutal, man. Like, some of the kills in this movie, like I said, you can't even really call them kills, because it's just complete accidents, like the whole movie. But the gore in this movie is just absolutely like great. It really is. And earlier Chad was saying that like we got to burn this evil place to the ground. He started pouring gasoline and stuff in the house before Allie said to stop, and Tucker and Dale got there, and then they had a little therapy session, and Chad ends up throwing like a candle or a light or something, and it ends up igniting the gasoline, and the fire starts coming up the black guy's leg and everything. He's freaking out, and the other remaining girl just takes this jar that she thinks is water, but it's like moonshine or something, and tosses it to try to put him out, and it just accelerates the flames, and he bursts into flames, and like the whole place like goes up in fire and everything, and Tucker, Dale, and Allie like run out of the house just in time before like it explodes almost, like just burning to the ground. And Chad is still alive, and his whole half of his face is burnt like terribly. Like he looks like Tupac. Yeah, he looks like Tupac. I can't believe I just said Tupac. He looks like Two-Face from the Batman movie. Fucking Tupac. And he ends up chasing after them with a hatchet. And they get in the car, in Tucker's truck or whatever, and they drive off, the three of them. And Dale's driving, and he ends up just distracted and ends up crashing into a tree. And then they awaken, and it's just Tucker and Dale, and Tucker has been awake for a little longer than Dale is, and ends up saying to him that they took, Chad took Allison and stuff, and ends up saying to her, again, the friendship between these guys and stuff. And Tucker's telling him, he's like, look, I see the way that she looks at you and the way that you look at her, and like she sees you for who you are, and sees how sweet of a person you are, and sees how like intelligent in a way that he is, and he is in a way, like he just has this like photographic memory and just remembers everything he's ever heard, while still being just like very simple-minded and everything. Like, it's such a great character, man. It really is. Like, Dale's character is so great in this movie. And so Tucker is like hurt and stuff, so he just stays behind, and Dale goes with his dog to go hunt down this motherfucker Chad. And Chad has Allie tied to like a log and puts it on like a table saw, and like his face is just completely like burnt on one side, and it looks just like Two-Face from Batman. Tupac. That's ridiculous. And Dale gets Allie off the table saw like just in time. He shows up, gets her off just before she gets like just mangled by this saw, and has a long struggle with Chad, and they're fighting like crazy, and the two of them, Allie and Dale, end up like running upstairs and hiding, and like they're in like a sawmill or something. They end up hiding in like the office, and they find these old news clippings that reveal that Chad's father was one of the hillbillies, the killer hillbillies 20 years ago. And that it also says that his mom was the sole survivor, was raped and tortured before she got away. So it reveals that Chad is half hillbilly. And just he comes up with like a chainsaw and stuff, and they're like, Dale's shoving the news clip in his face. No, wait, you're half hillbilly. And Allie says the same thing. He's like, it's true, Chad, you're half hillbilly. And he's just like, no, it can't be. Like he cannot handle this, and it reminds me so much of Cartman from South Park. If any South Park fans out there, like when that episode, the 2-part episode that you can't get anymore, 200 and 201, and Scott Tenorman shows back up, the one that Eric ground up his parents into chili, and then he finds out that Tenorman's his brother, and that Cartman actually killed his own father, like back in that early episode, and Cartman's just so taken aback, and just like the only thing he can think of is that he's half ginger. That's what that scene always reminds me of. It's like, you're half hillbilly. He's like, no. just reminds me of that South Park scene every time I see this movie. And another great line, and Dale's just like, when they're looking at the news clippings and stuff and figuring all this out, and there's the picture of the killer, the hillbilly, and looks just like Chad, and it's his father. And he's like, well, yeah, he looks just like that Kentucky Fried college kid downstairs. Oh, that's so funny. And just, yeah, like I said, Chad can't handle that whole news about him being half hillbilly. And Dale, and he goes to attack Dale, and Dale just remembers from earlier about him mentioning he's allergic to chamomile tea. And there's like the ingredient in chamomile tea, like right nearby, conveniently, that he just picks up and like blows in Chad's face and gives him like a allergic reaction. And they're like, it causes allergic reactions in people and stuff, but he'll be all right once we get him his inhaler. And like next shot, Chad just falls out of the top floor of this building. And they're like, or not, Oh my god, this movie, dude, it's so funny. The mood, you could tell from my mood, like if you've seen all the reviews of mine, like this one compared to the others, like I joke in all my videos and pick things apart, but you could tell how much fun this movie is just from, I can't stop cracking up. Like I really can't. I cannot control myself. And the news team arrives, and they do like a report of what happened and stuff, and they deem it a suicide pact with a deranged killer also there, and they still haven't found the body, so we know that Chad is still alive. And we see that the news reporter and the cameraman are the same news reporter and cameraman in the very opening scene that get killed, and it's Chad who killed him, so he's still out there. And they end up, Dale goes to visit Tucker in the hospital, and they reattach his fingers, but like one of them's a woman's finger with fucking nail polish on it. Like what? Like that's silly. Like, but still funny as hell. Like you cannot take this movie seriously. I mean, if I have to even say that at this point in the review, it's like, this movie's not for you. But like you just have to suspend all disbelief. It's just a complete horror like black comedy, and it is fucking fantastic. And after he visits him in the hospital, Tucker in the hospital, he brings him like a nice cold beer and everything, because Tucker loves his beer. And he asked Dale, and he says, did you ask her on a date? And Dale says that they're going on a bowling date that night. And so you see the two of them, Dale and Allie, going bowling and just having a great time. And Dale ends up talking with this old friend of his, like this old, ugly hillbilly guy. And not all hillbillies are like that. Disclaimer, there are good hillbillies out there. So don't have any judgments against the hillbilly people, because there are amazing ones out there, like Dale and Tucker. Don't fuck with my boys, Dale and Tucker. Destroy you. And Dale just tells him the same thing that Tucker tells Dale earlier in the movie. It's just like, you gotta get what you want. You have to go out there and take it. Like, just be yourself. And like, cause the friend like says like one of the girls in another lane is like gorgeous. He was like, just go over there and be yourself and stuff. And then Dale gives a present to Allie, and it's a pink helmet. Because of all the times, like him knocking her unconscious and her hitting her head when she falls in the water at the beginning of the movie. And he's saying like, and I don't know if we'll ever get to spend time like this, and let me just say what I gotta say. And she says, I feel the same way, and they kiss, and he gets the girl, man, and good for him, because what a great fucking guy. And then we just get this end that just in the background, the old hillbilly friend just knocks this girl out. Like, punches her right in the face. Like, I don't know what that's about. Like, still to this day, just knocks her out in the background. Like, when you're focused on Dale and Allie kissing and stuff, and you just see this old dude just knock this girl out, and then just like picks and starts dragging her off, like off the bowling lane. And like, they're like, should we go do something? And Dale's just like, hell no. And they just kiss, and that's the end of the movie. Like, dude, I can't say enough about this movie, as you can tell. Like, it is absolutely phenomenal. Like, it is top 3 probably horror comedies for me ever. Like, it is such a brilliantly written movie. It is so hysterical. Like, this is a movie that you want to get like completely drunk with friends of yours, a big group of friends, and just watch this movie and just die laughing, because it is so funny. It is so well acted. It is so well written. It's everything. Like, there's very little I can say bad about this movie. Like, hardly anything. And that's rare. Same with like Sleepaway Camp 2, what I said. And that's nowhere near comedic as this. Like, that's just more of campiness and stuff. But there's just some movies out there that are just so dear to me and affect me in such a way that there's just nothing I can say bad about them. Even if they are ridiculous and over the top. Like, I know people don't like Sleepaway Camp 2. I know a lot of people don't like the sequels. They love the first one because it's more serious and everything, but they don't like the sequels. And does not matter to me at all, because to me it is fucking one of the best slasher films ever. And to this movie, it is one of the best horror comedies I've ever seen. And it was so good to see this movie again after years of not seeing it. I needed this tonight, like, absolutely. And thanks for tuning in, guys. And like I said, tomorrow we'll be doing the Hatchet franchise with Hatchet 1, 2, and 3, and Victor Crowley, which honestly, Victor Crowley might be my favorite in the series. Like, after watching and I've seen the Hatchet series so much. I love that series. And it just grew on me, the 4th film, so much that I think it might definitely be my favorite in the series. But that is for tomorrow. Hope everyone has a good night or good morning wherever you're viewing from. And I will see you guys soon. Thank you.